We welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our Conversations and Coffee on this 17th day of the month of April, 2025. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We celebrate today the beautiful Loft Gallery exhibit, Celebrating Watercolor, curated by Marjaneh Abbasi. Marjaneh, yay, wonderful. Marjaneh is an instructor here at the Cultural Arts Center. Her students, Simone, yeah, and Michele Hamsher are with us and have exhibited their paintings then in this loft gallery. Welcome, welcome. Marjaneh earned a bachelor's degree in textile and fashion design and a master's degree in the restoration of historical and cultural objects. Her graduate thesis studied material sciences and conservation techniques for all paintings in the Museum of Fine Arts in Sadabad Palace in Tehran. The museum adopted her recommended conservation practices and techniques. Marjaneh is a professional artist and instructor who's trained in a wide array of visual art mediums, genres, and techniques, as well as in historic preservation. She's taught many visual art mediums here at the Cultural Arts Center since 2019. She has also been an instructor at the Columbus College of Art and Design and universities and community art centers in Tehran, Iran. Have we known all this about this amazing woman? It was just great to read this and study this. Marjaneh's artwork and fashion design have been in exhibitions and shows in Iran, in Italy, and in the United States. Marjaneh shares that she is Iranian and her artistic practice is informed by her cultural heritage. Her academic training in the historic preservation of the ancient Iranian artifacts has influenced the work she produces in textiles and fashion design. Themes related to mythology and philosophy emerge in her artistic practice. Her goal as a teacher is to encourage her students to explore their individual creativity. She shares that she believes that each person, that includes all of us, is creative within. And she wants to help people bring their creativity to the surface. Wonderful, beautiful, Marjaneh. Thank you for your leadership. And with us, we have your students. Simone Drake grew up in Columbus, attended Columbus Public Schools and graduated from Columbus Alternative High School, where she enrolled in art classes all 4 years. She earned a bachelor's degree in classical civilization and English literature, along with a minor in French from Denison University. Upon graduation, Simone enrolled in graduate studies at The Ohio State University and earned a master's degree in Black Studies and a master's degree in English literature. She completed a PhD in English literature at the University of Maryland. Simone shares that she likes learning a lot, so several years after earning her doctorate, she enrolled in the master's degree in the Study of Law program at OSU Moritz College of Law. Simone is a professor of English, Black Studies, and Law at OSU. As a researcher and scholar, she has published books and essays and produced a documentary film and created other digital media projects focused on social justice. She has served as a consultant for universities, corporations, nonprofits, and foundations. Simone and her husband have 3 sons, 2 in college and 1 in the 8th grade. Simone shares that she started taking watercolor classes at the Cultural Arts Center in 2023 and mixed media in 2024. Simone, how wonderful that you nurture your professional life with the beauty of watercolor and mixed media. Delightful. We'll hear more about it. Michele Hamsher. Michele has lived in Ohio all her life. She took art classes at Columbus College of Art and Design in middle school and eventually graduated from Ohio Dominican University in art education. She taught for 39 years at the elementary and middle school level for Springfield City Schools. Michele shares that she enjoys painting, drawing, and in recent years, drawing silk scarves. Wow. She has taught workshops for Ohio Art Education Association the last several years. Michele started taking classes here at the Cultural Arts Center 2 years ago with Marjaneh, and as she says now, I've been hooked ever since. Wonderful. So great to have you all part of this amazing exhibit in watercolor with Marjaneh's leadership. Huh? Yes. Take it away.
I promised myself this time I will laugh. Because last year I just frowned. And I have some cheating here. Cheating. First of all, I would like to thank you, the principal of Cultural Arts Center, Mr. Todd, who support me, and believe in me, and mentoring me a lot. I respect him, and actually Mrs. Lori that recently joined us as a manager assistant. She's so considerable. Yes, and support us in different ways. And the second group that I want to thank is my fellow colleagues like Tania, Susan, Stacy, Wazi, Dan, Cheryl. They all have helped me a lot more than they ever know, especially Miss Stacy. Thank you so much. The third group is my students who are supportive, kind, and again, considerable. And in terms of learning and attention, they are committed to being the best for me. They are so wonderful. And then all these people just make me feel at home, make me feel comfortable, confident, and to be vulnerable. That is so important for me. And also motivate me and challenge me to improve and do my best for them. I have come to realize that being a teacher is completely different from being an artist. A teacher has a responsibility of transferring knowledge to students. That is the most important part, from which I spend lots of time to handle this part, because for me, my students' feeling is much more important than even the part of the art. In fact, watercolor is completely different from other subjects of arts. The difference is that it is one-time creation, no correction. That's why it gives students stressful time and sometimes frustration. To avoid this part, I break down the subject of the art in a smaller task. It means by layer, in 3 steps, they do this. That is why I want to prevent the stressful part. When they are doing these 3 steps, meanwhile, I teach them, they will learn the basic information about drawing. And the other subject that is important for finishing the painting is have a knowledge of colors, shading, shadowing, contrast, light, right vision, and perspective. We all doing this part of the painting while they are doing their painting. That is it. If you have any question, I have a time, and then I will go to the painting. Do you have any question from me? Okay. I will show you my portfolio. It is just sample of some of my work that I will show you. I used to painting on fabric like a watercolor. It is more harder than the paper, because with one drop of the color on the fabric, it is bleeding everywhere. Am I right? It is the drawing part. Some of them is when I was in Iran, some of them I do it in the brand class. It is my watercolor, just sample of my work.
Would those pieces be?
This is the big one, not this one.
Yeah.
The big one. At this size. I do some calligraphy on the fabric. I did.
Here, is this still a part of your collage?
No, it is my painting. I had an exhibition in Bridge Gallery. I was working on mythology, Zoroastrian mythology, and I just make about 20 pieces of painting. They are acrylic, but I add fabric on them, because this part is, for me, is important. I am a fashion designer. I was thinking that how can I put my feeling on the painting. I add silk. It is the papery silk that I brought it from Iran. And actually, I am working in feather, the crow feather. That is why, and actually, evil and God, the contrast between the bad and good in people or in the world. That is why the Zoroastrian focus on it a lot. And it is the challenging between these two, that the capability of each of them to go to the other side. And that is why there is a place here. At that time, the feather of the crow was so precious. Keep it as a lock. to bring the luck for them. I designed the clothes, I designed the fabric, and I am not a tailor. I gave it to the tailor to sew it for me. But all of the clothes are painting by my hand. I make my color by myself. I steam them. They are completely washable. It was in Italy, and it was when they came to my studio to interview. All of them was white, and I just painting on them like this that I did, and make a design the clothes.
And silk you're painting?
No, it depends on what color you use. If it is the natural like silk and cotton, the paint will be different. But there is a possibility to use another like this one. I use another kind of textile painting that is just fixed with the iron. It's different. But the other that is like this, I have to steam it. I have to steam it. And this one, I just use it is the Qajar period, that the women in Qajar period are work on it. I make a composition and digital design and make a clothes with that.
Red one, batik?
This one, yes, but I switched to Farsi. Bravo. Yeah, how do you know that? You work on it?
Well, it looks like that.
It is batik, yes. Because it was the pink, and I just used the wax on it and then color it. I used to work in printing when I was in Iran, and here I went to Jennifer class and I make this one. It is my my own idea about the city of dream. I will have an exhibition next time, but it's wonderful because it is the tea paper. I just open them and then attach it and then print on them.
Etching out in the sun.
It is yes, it is solar etching, and some of them is. Don't ask the name. I will. It is in my. I forgotten. It is cyanotype. Who said that?
Want to say that nice and loud so we hear what?
Cyanotype. Yes, cyanotype. This one is cyanotype, but this one is cyanotype. The blue one is solar etching. I have many workshops here. Even during the coronavirus, there are some people from Cincinnati that they came and have a workshop and quilting, and many different workshop I had here, expression, drawing, and now I am doing. What is the name? Huh? No, this one. The new exhibition. What is the name of the? For 27. Alternative watercolor techniques that I did it. We use different. And believe me or not, it is mutual relationship. I improve myself by a workshop. I learn a lot of things from my students, they show me a lot of material, media that I haven't known about them. I just go over fastly. It is my students' work. They are so wonderful. They are doing their own techniques. That is my aim. It is Gary that do the middle one. Gary is the wonderful person who do different, have a different idea about everything. And sometimes I can, in his, he just drawing my portrait. I know I am old, but it's and his work is on the table. Sometimes he doing some abstract, and I have no objection about people, students who do the abstract. Actually, she's just joined us. I said 1 semester, and it is her son. And he joined us recently. It is the first portrait he has done. Okay, and look at this one. It is this portrait is for him. He did a nice job. It is his first portrait that he has done. Please. Bravo.
Okay, so I call mine a progressive evolution because it was. So there's kind of a story that goes with it before I start talking about the images, and it's just kind of where I started, and that was not really with formal art classes. When I was little, my grandmother taught me to draw roses, and that was kind of it. And then I went to CAUSE, and anybody who's grown up here, probably Columbus Alternative High School. And so I took art classes. I think we had to take art our first year, and I liked it, and so I kept taking them. But typical to CAUSE, it was very independent. So there wasn't really a lot of instruction. It was more of kind of just go and like do what you want to do. And what I ended up wanting to do were batiks, and I did a lot of batiks, and didn't really learn a lot else. I think I had a scholarship to the Saturday school at CCAD that I think my mom made me apply for, and then she made me go. And I was at a very rebellious state at that point, and I didn't want to go, so I probably didn't get as much out of it as I could have, and it was still life, which I also didn't like. But I always liked art, and we learned art history at CAUSE. It was kind of an experimental thing. Our humanities teachers decided to teach because there was no AP art history. And so in college, I ended up doing a lot with art history as a classics major, both with like archaeology, architectural, and with art history. But I never took an art class, and I kick myself for that now. But if you've been to Denison's campus, the art department is down a very big hill. And at the time, that seemed like a bit too much to ask every day to go. But I went down the other hill to go play volleyball, so I don't know. And then I just didn't do any art after high school. And I call it like the dark period. I went from college straight to graduate school, ended up in a program like in Maryland that like hazed you, and it was just a really depressing time. And so I didn't do any art. And when I was on tenure track, which is another form of hazing, my department chair, who was an artist, and he had a studio, so I considered him to be a real artist. Because I was in Black Studies, you could have people from all kinds of different disciplines. And so his was really cultural studies, but he was an artist. And at a party at my house, I showed him my batiks, and he said that I was an artist. And I said, no, I'm not an artist. I just like did these in high school. and so he told me, he said, one day, all of this, meaning this professional academic stuff you do, isn't going to be enough for you. it's not really going to work anymore, and you'll go back to art. And I just kind of like, okay, whatever. I've got to like meet these deadlines so that I keep my job. And and he was right. In 2013, my best friend from graduate school passed away, pretty unexpectedly. And later that year, I went back to doing batiks, just for a couple of months. My children were like astonished. They did, they behaved like when I would. It was very interesting. Like they would stop fighting with each. I have 3 boys, and they were at fighting ages then. So like my house stopped being. I don't know what they did, but they went somewhere and they were quiet, and they let me do it. And they would come and sometimes look and be surprised and then go away. But then after I did that, I packed the stuff away and I didn't do anything again. Until right before the pandemic, I got a fellowship at the National Gallery of Art in DC as a senior fellow, doing more of like art history, and working on a book that talked about visual art and music and the law. And that was when a couple of friends said, "When are you going to start doing art again?" My husband said, "You don't have any hobbies," and they just kept really bothering me about it. And so I knew this center was here, and I knew there was one in Worthington. And so I enrolled in pastels in Worthington and watercolor here. And I was really afraid to do it because I knew how to do batiks, but I was afraid I didn't know how to do anything else, and that it would be hard. And so I didn't stick with the pastels because the instructor was fine, but it wasn't instructive. And obviously, I like school, so I like being instructed. And Marjaneh's class was very instructive, and I chose watercolor because I'm a perfectionist and do really well in my profession. And I thought, well, if I start with one of the hardest forms of painting where it's not very forgiving, then I will have a long time that I can keep working on this and be committed to it, as opposed to just sort of taking the class and walking away. And it really worked that way. At first, she wanted to know why I wasn't smiling, and that why I was so quiet. And I'm like, because these suck. That's why, because I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I'm surprised I even saved them, but I guess it's good that I did. And for me, it's always been a question of like why and how. And if I understand that, I do really well. And if I don't do well. And so she was really good at teaching, not just like in showing how, but like the why. And for me, that made it work. Obviously, it took some time for it to work. And she will also tell me I don't do my homework, and sometimes I don't come to class. I'm like, yeah, because I have meetings I'm supposed to go to at work sometimes. And so it's probably not been at the pace she would like if I really practiced all the time. But no, I mean, like really, like for me, yes, I'm like I should be practicing, but I'm glad I didn't wait until I was retired, because that was sort of my idea. When I retire, I'll find something to do. And my husband's like, that doesn't make any sense. So these are not finished, but she told me to put them in there. And then the very last, and they go kind of in the order of time. These have all been from images she gives us. But this one is like a self-portrait. It really is from 3 years ago. My children have told me that it was from apparently much longer because I look much younger. And I'm like, thank you very much. And this one is my favorite because it's one that I chose. It's from a photograph I took at Easton. I just saw a butterfly, which kind of for full circle, my grandmother teaching me to draw roses. One day we were outside in her front yard and she just caught a butterfly with her fingertips. And I've not seen anyone do that since, and I'm sure somebody else can do it, but she just caught it. And so I titled it "To Catch a Butterfly." And when I was a kid, she was my favorite person. And I literally throw fits when my parents said we had to leave her house. And so, um, so this one reminds me of my grandmother. I suppose the title could also remind some people of Kendrick Lamar if you're of a certain age. But yes.
As far as this painting, it's beautiful. I like how the butterfly is like popping off the paper. It just, everything behind it is a soft, colors and stuff, but that butterfly just, looks like it's a 3D or something. Yes.
Well, it took months for me to finish it because I had breaks. Well, I guess another thing of like sort of refining myself, I ended up last year with a diagnosis with breast cancer, and it was stage 0. It's just been a long journey with all the work that went around dealing with that. But Marjaneh would call me sometimes, and she has this sense of like when I really should miss class and when I really shouldn't. And there were times where like really I didn't have the best reason for missing class, and she would call and she would say, just come to class. Even if you just sit there, just come to class. Yes. I mean, it has been something I'm so glad that I am doing and that I kept doing. And so she would also tell me, don't work on it at home because you might ruin it. and that was a possibility. So I would only work on it when I would come so that she could supervise whether I was going to do something bad.
That it's going to, middle.
10 minutes.
If you are in the middle, there should be control. Okay, no, don't do that. We go from the distance.
And that one's hanging out there, so along with the self-portrait.
Michelle, finally. To begin with, I know I hate talking on microphone, but I will do it. To begin with, when I was a baby, my parents probably knew that I would be an artist because I was drawing all over their walls, but my sister kept getting punished for it till I got discovered. Well, I have currently, one of the things I am doing is I am a plain art artist, and that means I go out on location to paint. And this is where many of my inspirations for my paintings do come from at times. Years and years and years ago, believe it or not, I was at Aramont, which is a major art workshop school down in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I was taking a pastel class out in the Great Smoky Mountain Park. And I got attacked by 30-some bees. But I did not get any serious effect, but that was my excuse as to why I had to stay an extra week at Aramont to take a watercolor class. Now, you had to remember, I was taking a watercolor class in the early 70s at Ohio Dominican University, and it was Discover Yourself. So no, it was a bad experience. But I have always heard that Bruce Bobick was a very good teacher, so I decided to take his class there. No, he did not talk about paper or the watercolor or techniques or anything, but it was his subject matter that turned you on. How to solve an algebra problem in a watercolor. How to go out to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, walk the streets of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. If you've never been to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, think of Myrtle Beach or Pigeon Forge, and you'll know what I'm talking about, and come back in the studio and do interpretation of that piece. I did a quilt painting of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and of course, we did go into the park, but instead of doing the complicated woods and the forest and that, we did the mountain scenes, which is a lot more easier to do in a watercolor. That because of that, I started learning to love to do watercolor. I have taken and done many paintings since then. As you know, if you've done watercolor, some are good, some are bad, and some are okay. And I've also taken, and over the years, because I was an art teacher, I was very involved with Ohio Art Education Association. Because of that, I have also taken and done workshops for them in watercolor and in echo printing and how to dye using a microwave. I also have taken microwave is a lot more easier to do to dye your silk fabric over steaming. But you don't use the microwave in your kitchen. It's the microwave that's in my garage. Okay? You don't want to do microwave your silk in the kitchen. Okay? Finally, let's see. Also, she asked us to talk about our claim to fame. I guess one of my biggest claims to fame has been several years ago how Dominican University asked if they could use my watercolor painting, Hooray for Christmas, as their Christmas card for 1 year. And I said yes. Also, because I was very involved in many ways with the Ohio Art Education Association, I became an OAEA Fellows, which is quite an honor, and it's hard to get into, but it's because of me exhibiting my work and also because of me doing workshops for them, I got that honor. I guess the biggest honor in my life is going to be coming this November, and I will be humble about it. I was told last Saturday that I will be becoming the Emeritus a Division Award, and that has to do with doing workshops for them and exhibiting my work. Well, 2 years ago, I decided, thank you. 2 years ago, I decided that, I'm always doing watercolor, and I do it with my art buddies, but my art buddies live in Tennessee, so we only get together like twice a year. There is that 400 miles difference. And I decided maybe it was time to come down to the Columbus Culture Art Center and take art classes here. And I am so glad I did. Okay, my first instructor was okay. And then a couple weeks later, we had Marjaneh. Now, Marjaneh is my first teacher of all the watercolor classes, all the workshops I've ever taken that actually goes into depth and really teaches you what a watercolor is really supposed to look like. Okay. She takes the time, if you're the first day in her class, she'll take the time to talk to you about the paper you should use and why. Lately, she's also taken, and from her experience, she talks to us about specifically what brand names a watercolor paint to use and colors. Not all watercolors paint is equal in their colors, and she knows from experience. She's not afraid to talk about composition, a good drawing. One of her famous comments is, "You are the boss. Mother Nature is beautiful, but it's not always the best compositions." Okay. Lately, she also talks about the use of the importance of shadow. Never had a watercolor teacher ever talk about shadows. The importance of letting your watercolors breathe. I one time had a teacher who said, don't be afraid, when I was taking pastel, don't be afraid to make major changes. Her famous word lately is but she's not afraid to say, don't be afraid to make minor changes, which really, in the end, makes your watercolors look really good. Thank you. Okay. Now, she loves to challenge us, which is a good thing. And thank you for at least trying to have us change our ways. And she also, what I admire about her is when she does a presentation, she has taken, and I've learned, sometimes your first watercolor of a subject matter may not be your best one, but sometimes it helps to do it a couple times. And you, trust me, she spends hours for the prep work. I know my goal someday soon is I need to get back and to have a one-man or two-man show. And also, no excuse, I have no excuse why I haven't gotten into a gallery. In closing, remember, we all do art for ourselves. But at the same time, we show our thoughts, emotions, and impressions of what we see with others as well. My first part of my work is not my best paintings. Whoops. All right. Now, when I look at this and I look at it, if I was going to do it again, I really would change the windmill and the building are all on the same line. It'd be much more interesting if I had lowered that house when I look at it. This one is one of those times of paintings where I was out on location and I really messed up with all those flowers. Well, I don't like it. Okay, this is a painting I did, and it doesn't have enough contrast. This one, I look at it, this is that idea of when you go out on location or when you do a painting, think about it and change the composition. My road must be going up to heaven or someplace. This one, when I look at it, once again, Marjaneh has his famous words, don't be afraid, not always look at a picture, you can change it. And really, really to be, so all those lower rocks, I don't like, if you really want to know. I love the upper part, so that's the way it goes. This one, once again, I did it, it was Antigua Road, and it doesn't have enough shadows. This one, you'll see another version of it. This was another one of my interesting paintings. Now for my better paintings. I guess this is in the Alps or somewhere. My self-portrait, obviously, when I was a lot younger. And when I did this, and after I painted it, I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, my glasses are totally lopsided. So thank goodness for magic erasers, because that will take watercolors off and you can try to make corrections. This one, I look at it and I thought, I really did this? I am just amazed how I was able to get that reflection. Just amazes me. And one of my doors, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and you are going to lead us, Marjaneh, out into the loft gallery, and we're going to view. Please. We'll view your paintings. Great.
My name is Carol Ludke-Pragan. I had absolutely no experience painting watercolor when I came to Marjaneh's class a couple years ago. And this was one I did last summer after a trip to Germany. She taught a 2-day workshop on techniques, and so I employed a couple, actually more than a couple of techniques in this painting that from a picture I took out of a train window of the Alps. And it reminds me so much of the beauty of the landscape there and some of the things that I learned how to translate that into watercolor. So, yes, that's the painting. My name is Carol Ludke-Pragan, and I've been painting almost 2 years.
Okay, so I'm back again. This is Simone. So with the butterfly, I guess if I'm going to talk about maybe what I've learned, I think last year I probably would have started working on this and made it look just like the photograph, where, you know, the butterfly is relatively small compared to all the bushes that it was on. But one, learning in class about how to, like, changing kind of the perspective and what I want the viewer to actually see, I realized really what was important about that photograph was the butterfly and not the bushes. And so it's really more of a zoomed in version of the photograph that I took that really puts the butterfly at the center and not the bushes. And also just learning that with watercolor, at least with the style of watercolor that we learn in class, that I don't need to go and put in every single flower bud that's on the bush, every leaf, and go through all of that detail, and instead to work just in a different way than I would have imagined approaching it before I started taking the class.
Beautiful. I would say that my students do a variety of techniques. For example, they went to the Little Cayman, and the three of them made this Sometimes I give them another techniques that they do that. I give them the actual photo. They have 1 week to work on it, and then I will performance, and they follow me. But they can challenge with these two differences, and for them, it is lots of improvement after that. For example, this Marvin has been working on acrylic, and you can see the effect of acrylic on his painting because he's just doing for years acrylic. And this one is for Marvin too.
That's Marvin Daniels? Yes.
Yes, yes. And could you come here, please? No, come. Yes. She doesn't have confidence, and she's really good at it. Describe your.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. I just try to follow your instructions.
No, it is you. I didn't give you the.
No, to follow your instructions, how to use
It means you
watercolor.
use your experience.
Yes,
during
yes.
the
And I'm so happy because I just started 2 sessions ago, around 4 months ago. And I tried before, but I never feel I can do it. But now I feel if I still practice and come in to take your classes, I will improve.
It is
I'm
so
s-
good.
Okay, thank you.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Yes,
this
is that one?
Oh, Lydia, that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody says that it is beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
It is for Michele too. Michele.
What I like about this picture, and it's one of my favorite pictures, is I had to use a variety of techniques, like how to get that effect of that stone. So I had to start out with wet and wet and just lightly do washes with color. Then I probably did some splattering, and then I had to kind of probably use like a dry brush to get the effect of the door. And I also like it because one of the tricks in watercolor is just keep your colors clean and fresh. And that's what I liked about that. Also, I had to use a variety of brush techniques. I had to use a round brush. I used a flat brush. I use a very thin brush to get the effects of the leaves. And also it was very important to show contrast. But it's probably one of my all-time favorite paintings that I've done. All right.
I don't know why I'm up here, but I thought I just want to say all I have to say about is thank to her, because this is my very first watercolor portrait. I never thought that I could paint anything like this. She was insistent, and she said, yes, you have to do this freehand outlining and then paint it. And to my own surprise, I did it. So it's really thanks to her that she
It's
made me
you, I
believe in
didn't do
myself.
anything.
So not only is she a good teacher, she's actually a great person to encourage me to believe in myself. So that was a big lesson for me. Thank you.
He's so good. And he doesn't believe himself. Every time he did a good job and said, no, it is not good. No, it is not good. Kathy, talk about your work. She's another one. She has been with me for 3 years. She's so good and talented.
Oh, has it been that long? Wow. I guess so, because I've taken the mixed media, which has been lots of fun. So, and the watercolor is a lot of fun as well. So I just have this one painting over here. It was actually started as a plein air at Buckeye Lake area, and I think this is, well, I'll say it's representative of, I believe, the Schottenstein house. It's out in the middle of the water there on its own little island, sort of maybe near the cranberry bog. But anyway, there's sycamore trees out there and the water. So I got some experience with, working with the water as well as this house, and putting in as much detail as I could. The house had to be done first because it's so light, and then I had to work with all the background and then go back with some of the dark areas of the house. I really enjoyed it. Doing the plein air, I enjoy that as well as working in a building, so it's been fun.
And your name again?
Kathy Wilbers. Yeah. And I love Marjaneh. She is just a ball of creative energy that constantly in the classroom. She's, you know, just like spurts of, I don't know, electricity all the time. Getting everybody worked up and excited, and then everybody gets real busy and is quiet, you know, so it kind of comes and goes, but it's wonderful. She's fantastic.
That's a great way to come to close and celebrate. Thank you, everybody.
I'm proud of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. You work hard for all of us. We appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you.